Special counsel Robert Mueller faces Congress in back-to-back hearings this morning.
He's answering questions about his 22-month investigation into Russian election meddling. CBS 2's Kara Finnstrom is live in the Satellite Center with more on what's happening right now. Kara.
Good morning, Suzanne. Questions are being fired right now from both sides of the aisle. So let's get started by listening in.
About these supposed conflicts of interest, correct?
Correct.
And McGahn declined to call Rosenstein, telling the president that it would look like still trying to meddle in the investigation and knocking out Mueller would be another fact used to claim obstruction of justice. Isn't that correct?
Generally so, yes.
And in other words, Director Mueller, the White House counsel told the president that if he tried to remove you, that could be another basis to allege that the president was obstructing justice, correct?
That is generally correct, yes.
Now, I'd like to review what happened after the president was warned about obstructing justice. On Tuesday,
I'm sorry, Congressman, do you have a citation for the?
Yes, volume 2, page 81.
Thank you.
And 82. Now, I'd like to review what happened after the president was warned about obstructing justice. It's true that on Tuesday, June 13th, 2017, the president dictated a press statement stating he had, quote, no intention of firing you, correct?
Correct.
But the following day, June 14th, the media reported for the first time that you were investigating the president for obstructing of justice, correct?
Correct.
And then, after learning for the first time that he was under investigation, the very next day, the president, quote, issued a series of tweets acknowledging the existence of the obstruction investigation and criticizing it. Isn't that correct?
Generally so.
And then, on Saturday, June 17th, 2 days later, the president called Don McGahn at home from Camp David on a Saturday to talk about you. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
What was significant about that first weekend phone call that Don McGahn took from President Trump?
Well, I'm going to ask you to rely on what we wrote about those.
Well, you wrote in your report that at page 85, volume 2, that on Saturday, June 17, 2017, the president called McGahn at home to have the special counsel removed.
And you've been listening to some questions there from Representative Hank Johnson. During Mueller's nearly 2-year investigation, he found Russia meddled in the 2016 campaign. That reported operation involved breaking into computer networks, creating division on social media, all to bolster then candidate Donald Trump. The report did not, however, conclude that the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government. That led the president to claim he had been exonerated. And earlier this morning, committee chair Jerry Nadler asked Mueller whether that was the report's intention.
The president has repeatedly claimed that your report found there was no obstruction and that it completely and totally exonerated him. But that is not what your report said, is it?
Correct. It is not what the report said.
You wrote, quote, if we had confidence after a thorough investigation of the facts that the president clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, we would so state. Based on the facts and the applicable legal standards, however, we are unable to reach that judgment, close quote. Now, does that say there was no obstruction?
No.
Mueller there with some of his trademark short answers. Once he finishes talking to the House Judiciary Committee, he will move on to the House Intelligence Committee. So lots more questions, more testimony to come. The president, meanwhile, has been reacting to the proceedings, calling all of this a witch hunt and saying again that there was no collusion, no obstruction.